Hey everybody, welcome. The main discussion tonight is around HTV and some of the lesser talked about things that you may find useful. So we'll jump into that. Let's see here. Okay, so something that I've not seen discussed on Facebook, and I'm in numerous groups, but I think is important to know, is why do some of our vinyls have their color backing? So this is the back of my blue. And then why are some white? This is an orange piece of HTV. What's the difference? So have you ever tried to put a piece of red, let me grab my piece of red here. Have you ever tried to put a piece of red HTV on a yellow shirt? What might happen? It may start to look orange. Have you ever put a piece of red HTV on a black shirt? It may look darker. The color of your shirt is coming through your HTV. So, they make HTV that would have here's my orange piece, a white backing. This is called subli block. And basically the white is on the back of your orange to prevent that color transfer from coming through your design, your vinyl. Now, there are ones that, so subli block is part of the specialty materials line. There are other ones that don't necessarily say subli block, although subli block is the official of what does that prevention of the color transfer. But I have like this neon pink here. Oops. And it has a light background. That's going to help in a similar situation. Not guaranteed the way subli block is. This is ThermoFlex Plus. But similar concept, it would hold its color better than if this did not have a white back. Now it is bleeding through some of its own color here, but it's going to prevent your shirt from coming through.
Or any dyes that are in the shirt. If it's like a tie-dye shirt, it's gonna prevent dye migration.
So I don't know if you can hear Christopher. We don't have an additional mic set up tonight, but some shirts with extra dye in them themselves, like a tie-dye shirt, as you're washing it, as you're pressing it, those dyes could actually come through and stain your vinyl, your HTV. So the things like the subli block, where you have oranges but it's white on the back, and again they're called subli block, that will prevent that dye from transferring through and staining your vinyl. So the next piece I want to talk about, again, kind of less commonly stated. I see a lot of questions about where can I get the best vinyl at the best price, and I see a lot of Amazon links. I buy a ton of things from Amazon. Vinyl has not been one of them. I sell my shirts, and I am meticulous that I want to sell something that I trust will last. So I am particular on where I buy my vinyl, and that I test my vinyl. I've done my own wash tests, because I would just hate if I sold a shirt and I hear that the vinyl peeled, the vinyl cracked, the vinyl did something, because I just looked for inexpensive vinyl. I get it. You want to save money, but your vinyl is your material, is your name, and I would not be comfortable sending out something and collecting money for it if I wasn't confident in the product. So, that being said, I get a lot of Caesar, I get a lot of specialty materials. Specialty materials I don't think is talked about as much. But what I'm getting at here is all the different types of vinyls that these manufacturers make. So for instance, here I have Specialty Materials ThermoFlex Plus. And then here I have some more ThermoFlex Plus, but I have, hang on for a minute, too much vinyl here. Here's ThermoFlex Turbo. Here's ThermoFlex Turbo Bright. Here's ThermoFlex Sport. Here's ThermoFlex Banner. So what I'm getting at here is, what is the difference in all of these? It's all Specialty Materials. They're all, these ones I just showed were all part of a ThermoFlex series. Why are there so many different types? And I see this, Caesar has it as well. Caesar has Caesar Easy Weed. Caesar has Caesar Easy Weed Stretch. You can get, I believe, Cardinal or a similar red in both colors. So what's the difference? Why do they have these different lines within their series? So it comes down to the purpose and the function of what you're going to use your vinyl for. So the difference could be what you're pressing it on. So some are more recommended for cotton. Some are more recommended for if you have a cotton poly blend. Some can work on nylon. A lot of the ones that work on cotton will not work on nylon. So you need to pay attention to the actual product you're getting and what material it aligns with. So to do that, and of course it's on their websites, but I do have a Specialty Materials book. It has, I would say, 90% of their product in it, because they're constantly developing new product. But this book gives me all my references, what sizes it comes in, and the acceptable fabrics is listed on the side. So you get your colors over here and your descriptions on the other side. So back to our discussion on HTV. So we talked about, why do they have all these different lines? We talked about the book. The next thing I was going to talk about was, and these are kind of just like little niche pieces of knowledge that just could help you at some point. Things I was thinking about. So pressing onto fleece, like a fleece blanket. Fleece is a lot more textured than something like my cotton shirt. So my recommendation, if you're going to press onto fleece, is to either use glitter or a flock product. And the reason for that is the glitter texture and then the thickness and the fuzziness of the flock will be to your benefit to hide the increased texture of a fleece product, like a blanket or even a fleece jacket. If you put a flat vinyl on a piece of fleece, you're probably going to end up with a wavy effect that you may not like. So that is just my recommendation for pressing onto fleece. Something else that I've seen a bunch of lately with masks, because we wear masks these days. People pressing vinyl onto masks. Your mask is a pretty small surface. I don't know if I have any masks hanging around here. Sometimes I do. A lot of them have a good amount of seams around the edges, some being thicker than others. That one's not a very thick seam. And if you put that under your press, your seam is elevating your press and you're not getting good contact from the mask surface and your piece of vinyl. You're not getting that pressure. You know how like when you press HTV, they are very specific: light pressure, medium pressure, firm pressure. That little variation because of the seam will affect your vinyl's longevity. Even sometimes you can't even peel it off because it just did not get that contact. So my first recommendation is to have pressing pillows. You can get these on Amazon. You can get these from Heat Transfer Warehouse. You can get these from 143vinyl.com. they're kind of everywhere that you can buy vinyl, is you can buy, or presses, you can buy a pressing pillow. Basically, the outside is, I think it's Teflon. The inside is foam. So when you put your mask on them, that little bit of give is somewhere for those seams to sink into to get that good contact to press something like a mask. I see the similar thing with onesies. It's just because they're so small, your seams are under your press, as opposed to a larger shirt where your collar can hang off, your seams at your arms can hang off the sides. You can't really do that when you're pressing a mask, unless you have like an Easy Press Mini or something really small. So I recommend pressing pillows. If you don't have one, I have seen people that will do it with like a towel. I'm hesitant on doing that because you have to get it really perfectly uniformly the same depth. So like if it was rolled up into a ball, your edges again are going to lose that contact. It has to be that perfectly flat like this would to evenly distribute those seams and that pressure so you have flat contact when you're pressing your vinyl. So I would really recommend investing. I think I got a set of 5, all different shapes and sizes for like $20 or something, and I use them all the time. I have ones that are like long and skinny to go in sleeves. I did a pair of sweatpants with that one and put a piece of vinyl down the side seam. Pillow, I wouldn't have been able to get a good contact without a pillow. So that's my tip about that. Back to some of the HTV, kind of just stuff nobody really talks about. So I have here Decofilm Brilliant Green from Specialty Materials and Decofilm Soft Metallic. And I pulled these two for a very specific reason, is because of their metallics. And most metallics, you're going to find this, will specifically say cold peel. So you have to cool it down. You can wait, you can kind of, flap it in the air, you can rub another piece of cloth on it to pull that heat out, but you have to wait until it's cold and do a cold peel if that's what the instructions say, which this book will tell you that. Same thing with Caesar metallics. So the cold peel is very important on these metallics. Now, what happens if you're impatient? You could start peeling and it comes up. Okay, that's the obvious. But there's also another effect with these metallics that if you peel it and it's still warm per se, so it stays on your garment, but when you pull it up, you don't get that flat metallic finish if it's not cold. So it could come up and look almost vintage or crackled effect. Maybe that wasn't what you were going with, but that's what you have now. And maybe you like it. Maybe you want to go for that look. So you peeled up that corner and you saw that's what happened. So you could do it as desired. But we've also seen it where somebody checks the corner and it does that little lift effect, and what now? You can't really go backwards on that. But if you needed to make that more uniform, so you did it on accident and it didn't turn out very uniform, you can actually kind of force that effect by pressing it again with a piece of parchment paper over it. So over your metallics, you can press again with your parchment paper and then pull that up at the warm state, not necessarily cold, and it's going to lift that again to create that kind of crackle looking effect. I'm just talking about, salvaging a piece here that maybe didn't go as intended. While I have my parchment paper out, I'll tell you, I have a whole envelope here, of parchment paper. I have more stacks of it. They actually came as twice this size, and I cut them all in half to put into this envelope. I use these all the time. I have designs right here on my side that I actually need to press this weekend that I've stacked up with parchment paper between them to keep them from sticking to each other. This one's sticky. It's slid out because it doesn't stick to the parchment paper, but it allows me to stack them while I'm kind of building up what I'm planning to press. Believe it or not, there's, I don't know, 6 to 8 layers here, and all but one of the sheets is a single design that are going to layer on each other. So just kind of a space saver having parchment paper. Again, another one of those things that was just worth the investment just to have parchment paper available. So he opened the little packet from the samples, and they actually had, so they're labeled as what they are, but they're actually cut designs into them, so you could essentially weed and press. I don't think they're going to be able to see any of the. Let me switch my screen here for a sec. I don't think you're going to be able to see the actual cut lines to weed. You can kind of see it when I get the right angle. There's a cat on this one, and no, you can't really see it, but that's a piece of Decofilm Soft Metallic, shiny. You can weed a cat, press a cat, but the samples that you get to pick, the 3 products that you'd like to see, you'll get pieces about this size, so you can do a whole t-shirt design with that. Okay, hopefully you found that information about HTV useful. If you did, please like our video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Happy crafting!